Welcome to my PowerPoint presentation on what a college education buys. This is a write-up overview from CLAD's academic write-up titled What a College Education Buys, as captured in SPART 2010. SPART is being referenced there as SPART B 2010, writing from sources, 8th edition, pages 213 to 215. Cladwell basically kicks off into who or should get an education, talks about the values and the perceptions, and then finally ends with talking about what education actually gives the recipient at the end of the day. Slide 3 talks about the elitist view as indicated by Cladwell's write-up. Cladwell basically said that education, while it was good, was not for everyone. In actual fact, it based this statement or this view on what you would call certain influential Americans. Now, I put that in quote because that was the actual words used by Cladwell in his write-up. And I've referenced paragraph 1 of Spart's book, but I've actually used Cladwell's 2009 original works to attribute this actual quote to him. The other view covered by Cladwell is the fact that who should bear responsibility for education in itself. The first view was placed squarely on President George Bush. President George Bush here, I have said I don't have the date because it wasn't given in the write-up, essentially said educators can educate but needed to try harder. In actual fact, what President Bush said, as quoted by Cladwell, was the fact that educators already know how to educate everyone, but they just need to try harder. Now, what I've done here is fundamentally I have paraphrased that longer sentence and made it shorter, but essentially saying the same thing. So if you look at what President George Bush actually said, which was educators already know how to educate everyone, but they just need to try harder. I have paraphrased that and simply said educators can educate, but needed to try harder. Basically saying the same thing, but in a shorter, more succinct form. Slide 5 goes on to talk about the second view held between teachers and students. Now, the student view was given by Charles Murray, who basically said children must have what he called a basic achievement level to be able to intellectually succeed when being educated, and that currently his view was that the level in schools was around 15%, which was smaller than the 45%. And I think this ties into the point that both President George Bush and Charles Murray were trying to find out who was not pulling their weight. Charles Murray was actually talking about a point which is the capability of the student at hand and not just the teaching skill set of the teacher, which was what President George Bush was talking about. Slide 6 covers the value placed on education and the fact that the price for education has moved from $10,000 to $180,000 in just a period of about 25 years, which is a significant jump. And this is basically born to the fact that there is a view that education gives both educational and non-educational benefits, and probably the value being placed of this has increased over time, which is why the cost has also increased. Slide 7 talks about the parents' perception in terms of why are the parents paying so much money for this education. And there are two schools of thought here. One is that by going through the educational process, the children demonstrate that they can learn something, which makes them ready for the workplace. The country view or an alternative view for that is that once they've gone through that process, that they have learned something, which is what is being paid for. And I think the latter is basically talking about professionals like pilots, doctors, engineers, where by the time they come out, they are deemed qualified. And the less professional courses are where it indicates the student can and will learn something once he or she gets into the workplace. The educational value also then goes down and talks about children having generalist views or in versus in-depth views. Again, the basic point here is that which one of these will make the student successful. Again, there is no concrete evidence being given here, just a view from different viewpoints, and that over time colleges will become more accessible because the view is that the price of education going high and high, at a point in time it will peak and then it will come back down. Finally, the report, from my view, while it gives different and differing views on different topics, does not actually answer the question that was initially posed. It finally concludes on the fact that American degrees does not qualify you to do something specific, which raises a sort of question in terms of why then are they paying so much as $180,000 for something that doesn't qualify you to do something specific. One might go back to the previous slides where we talked about the fact that maybe it's just to demonstrate that the students are able to learn and deliver rather than what they've actually learned in schools. Thank you.